All right, you guys ready?
As will ever be.
Yep. Last minute check.
What are the things that we need to have in place before we move forward?
Like Superman, Wonder Woman is not gonna look at it and go, oh, they're calling me.
It's like building a house without the blueprints.
You're getting the knock on the door. Where are the leads? Where are the leads? And so I feel like this, what we just talked about, is exactly what you can bring back to leadership. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Out and About podcast, where we break down all things marketing and financial services and what we're seeing working and not working. So, once again, whether you've been in that marketing seat for decades or put on that marketing hat just when you started this new role, just recently, we're here to support you. So, today I have the dream team. Really, our whole team is the dream team, but this is in the back of my mind. Like I was going to say, we are the dream team because we're the directors team and we have a lot of fun together. We literally just sat and chatted for like 30 minutes and we
And
should have.
recorded it.
Yep.
So we have Jimmy back with us again, and we have Ellie Alexander joining us. Ellie, do you want to introduce yourselves first time on the Out and About podcast?
Yes. I'm Ellie Alexander. I'm the design director, so pretty self-explanatory, but I'm all things like visual brand, typography, imagery, logos, color palettes, websites, flyers, you name it, all of those things. I've been in the industry for over 15 years, and I don't want to count how many. It's somewhere around there. I'm in the Minneapolis area, and yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yay!
Yay. And
So,
can we take
yeah.
a moment to introduce our setup? We have
Yeah.
new microphones, everyone.
Scared to touch
Welcome
mine.
to the new microphones that are
Yep.
here to support. If you're watching on video,
No.
we're trying to,
Do
we're
some
keeping them in the camera.
ASMR.
I know that was part of why we've chatted for so long because we were like testing them out like
I
kids
know.
with toys.
Anyone up for pen clicking sounds?
Yes, we have changed the format of the podcast and you can now just relax for the next 30 minutes while we make sounds.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, but hopefully you can hear us better. I know we didn't even realize how echoey we were until we took it to the production team and they were like, hello, what is happening? So we have mics now and hopefully you can hear us and can't overhear us. We've been testing with, all the adjustments. So hopefully I'm not yelling too much,
Mhm.
but
Progress.
I know. I'm so excited. So, like I said, I feel like this is the dream team, even though honestly, our entire team is, and anyone that we have in this virtual room is amazing. But I get really excited when it's the three of us because that always means we're doing something fun. We're like making something. We've been very busy here at Out and About recently, onboarding and helping clients re-strategize for their Q4 and into the new year and all kinds of stuff. So the three of us have gotten to meet a lot lately, which has been really fun. So we're excited to kind of take that energy and bring it to you all today. We're going to talk about a very broad topic that we can spend an hour on. No, hours. Hours. Like
Mhm.
literally, they teach whole classes on this topic, and we're going to talk about it in 20 minutes. So that'll be interesting.
Yep.
We're going to talk about positioning. And we love positioning. I think that's a big part of what we do really at Out and About is helping clients um, just kind of figure out where they stand and how to communicate that better. Of course, I sit in the content seat a little more, so when I say communicate and messaging, that's usually the words I'm using, but I know it comes from design, it comes from all the work that Jimmy does and user journeys and the whole thing. But do we want to just talk? Do we want to quickly before we say what we're saying yes to? I love all that good stuff. Before we go there, do we want to talk about what positioning is? Do we want to just define it?
I was
I think
thinking too, and how it applies to like our three areas.
yeah, because it's such a huge topic. I think when
Mhm.
I tend to think kind of in metaphors sometimes. So when I think about positioning, I think about it literally, like it's literally like setting up the company, like in the marketplace, like where are we putting it in the broad map of all the marketplace and how what's the angle?
Mhm.
But Jimmy, you said you've been teaching this on a college level
The pressure.
recently. I know. So how do you define positioning?
I feel the sudden pressure. I would say, okay, maybe not the academic kind of description. I really find positioning is just, like finding your voice, finding your look,
Mhm.
like kind of like us, right? Like growing up, we're always kind of finding our voice, our look, like
Your
how does that
values.
represent me,
Yeah.
values, and then it's so important, right? Because when we have that, when we find our voice, that unique voice, then we don't sound like everybody else, and then we can then amplify that, and people who like us will see that voice, that look, and come to us. So that's how I kind of define
Yep.
positioning. Don't be like everybody else.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the analogy I like to use when I talk about positioning just in terms of visual design is like you, Tiffany, I love a good analogy, is literally like the clothes you wear. Like what's the clothes your brands wear? What are the clothes that your company wears? Because that's how you present yourself to the world. Like it can change a little bit in different situations, but like everyone has their unique style and it does say certain things about them. I tend to be very vanilla and basic, as you can see by my beige and white, and that's who I am, and I'm okay with it. Jimmy has a much more like oh my gosh, I was gonna say colorful, and
Monochromatic.
it's not colorful. It has more personality than mine does.
And
But yeah,
that's so true though.
mhm,
Yeah. Like, sometimes you see something and you go, oh, that's really Ellie, or that's really
mhm,
right. When that person's positioning or
yeah,
that person's voice or brand or look, it's
mhm,
so strong. You see
mhm,
something and you go, oh, that's so this, that's so Ellie, that's so
mhm.
Apple, that's so something else. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
Mhm.
like if you just think about how you look at people when you're out in the world, if you see someone in a store and they're wearing a three-piece suit, you do make different assumptions about what they do for a living, what kind of money they make, what they value, what it might be like to talk to them, versus if you see someone in like sweatpants and a t-shirt, and not that either is better or worse, but you make different assumptions about those people. And when how you present yourself reflects your authentic self, like you were saying, Jimmy, then you also attract the right people. Like then
Mhm.
Yes.
those people gravitate towards you because they go, oh, I only have something in common with them. I like what they're doing. So,
I like their vibe.
yeah,
That's my
exactly.
tribe.
Yes.
Like what they say, right? Your vibes attract your tribe. So,
Mhm.
Yeah, well, and it's all about we're gonna get into this, but it's not just following the trends, right? Like so when you're talking about the styling, I was thinking like back to our teenage years where we like tried to label ourselves like, oh, I'm in that crowd, so I just dress like them. And then it's like coming out of that, then you start to go like, well, I actually like this look. It doesn't really matter what everyone else is doing.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that's the tipping point too with
oh yeah,
companies,
just
right?
just
Like
to
we're
add
not
to
just
that,
yeah, go.
it's also the confidence, right? Like you said, you kind
Yes.
of find your voice and you go, actually, I don't really need to look like them. I'm happy
Yes,
with this look, with this,
Mhm.
and with that you get that confidence.
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay, so as we always start out, what are we saying yes to when it comes to positioning?
Mhm.
I can go first.
Yeah, let's do it.
I would say I'm always saying yes to when, speaking to like different people from the same company of the same brand.
Hmm.
And when they
Hmm.
talk about a brand, it's it's like you're talking to the same person. They're all saying the same thing, and that always just makes my heart like have this big yes, because then they have gotten their identity right, their positioning right. You talk to them in separate rooms, in separate occasions, you get the same thing.
Yeah,
Uh, I'm always saying yes to that.
I love it. Ellie?
Yeah, mine was be don't water yourself down. Like it's better, it really is better to be too memorable than not memorable enough. And sometimes that's really hard because it's scary. It's like, just thinking of like you're making your company's website and it's easy to fall into like making safe choices because you don't want anyone to go, "Oh, I don't like that." Or you kind of our instinct is often to do something safe to appease the whole. But what that usually ends up doing is that everybody finds it disinteresting. So if you kind of if you don't water yourself down, if you are proud of your brand's personality, your values, what you look like, what you sound like, even if it doesn't match every single person you're talking to, they will still find that more appealing than if it
Mhm.
was just whitewashed and boring. So yeah, don't water yourself
Yes,
down. If anything, turn up the dial.
I love it. I love it. I feel like we could just go down a rabbit trail with all of these. Like we just need to record a podcast every day. Okay, mine is saying yes to choosing an actual niche or target market or whatever word you want to use, but like a real one this is like a whole hot take that we can get into, and I will try not to call anyone out, but like so often we work with clients. No, I won't even say clients. I will just say I hear it out in the in our greater community world around financial
Mhm.
services, and people will talk about their niche, and it's just a segment of the population. It's not an actual target market. It's just wealthy people or people with money. It's like this really broad. I'm being really careful not to say the ones I actually want to say because I don't want to call anyone out. But if your target market is just a descriptor of people,
Mhm.
like half the population, like or just
Mhm.
like a chunk, that's not an actual niche.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is too when we work with people, with clients who have an actual niche and they're really excited, and to Jimmy's point, everyone on the team is behind it, and to Ellie's point, they have the confidence to just go. Our whole team just starts like singing. Like you
Mhm.
could just hear like the skies opening up because we
It,
get really excited. Our job gets really fun at that point.
yeah. Our jobs gets fun, our job gets easier, their job gets easier, and everything is more effective too. Like,
Yes.
Yeah. And you kind of try it out like, okay, it's this target market. I mean, not try it out. Of course, you give your best, but then you tweak, right? And it's kind of like well, here is what the bit that I share with in class when I teach. If you speak to everybody, you're speaking to nobody. Kind
Yeah.
of,
I wish you
is
could see
that what you
I literally have it in my notes, same exact words.
right? It's kind of like what you said, Ellie, about like, oh, if you try to like be in the middle of the line, like, oh, let me please everybody, then yeah, if you try to speak to everybody, you're speaking to nobody because it's just your message just goes like, whew, I don't,
Mhm.
yeah,
It's
Yes.
just background noise then.
It
You're
is.
easily missed and easily forgotten, which is unfortunate.
And I feel like when we have these conversations, I think sometimes it can go past people and they don't absorb it because this is no offense to this world, obviously, but it sounds too academic. Like, okay, you're just saying that because that's the marketing thing you're supposed to say.
Mhm.
But hear us, people, hear us loud and clear. We will fail along the way. Everyone will fail along the way if we don't have a specific, if we're not narrowed down, if we're not focused. Like we will just,
Mhm.
anyway, yeah,
Totally.
everything will be off. Everything will get frustrating. So I think that actually leads us into really the marketing problem that we really want to unpack here is, positioning is the starting point and people, we can't move forward without it. Um, but everyone wants to,
Mhm.
right? Everyone's like, oh, I had this idea. I talked to my buddy. We want to run some ads, or, we want to start some blogs, or we want to make a flyer, or, we want a website, whatever it is. We just want to make the thing.
Yep.
Um, but I think what we want to really narrow down here today is what are the things that we need to have in place before we move forward? Like this is the difficult conversation, but what do we need to do before we start?
Mhm.
So we kind of already talked about it, right? The target market or niche or ideal client or whatever you want to call it. Um, any other things we want to add, or do we want to dive deeper into that one as we just did?
I have something to add, but I think it might also be diving deeper, so I'm not sure.
Do both. Let's just go.
Sure. I was like, what you were saying just made me think of, like, you get excited to do an initiative, like you get excited to run some ads or to start a newsletter, or even if it's like much earlier on and you're literally just starting your brand and you kind of just want to be like, let's go, let's use this momentum, let's get things done, let's make a brand, let's make the website, whatever it might be. If you charge forward with that without first pausing and determining your company's positioning,
Hmm.
it's like building a house without the blueprints. Like you're gonna
Hmm.
end up with a kitchen that's attached to a bathroom and a
Hmm.
bedroom that's in the basement. You know what I mean? It just you'll end up with something. You'll have a product, but it's probably not gonna fit your uses. It probably is not gonna speak to the right people. It literally might break in various ways, like a website might not
Yes.
be built very well if you rush into it too quickly. And then you
Yes.
end up having to like remodel it later after you've been like, okay, well, shoot, we put the cart before the horse. Now we got to go back and do it over again and do it the right way, or
This
you have
is
to live
the
with it.
perfect analogy, because again, in real world scenario, like this is not, we're not speaking just academically here, folks. Like otherwise, you're making decisions along the way. You're making a and sometimes it's a new decision, and that's the problem, right? Like the target market will shift, We have seen this happen. We've seen it
Mhm.
happen so many times. Like a month later, we all convene again and like, well, actually, our voice is a little more like this, or actually, one person on the team likes these colors a little more. Like you're just constantly making new decisions,
Mhm.
which just sets everyone up for disappointment, number one. And then also, we just don't know where the North Star is. We don't know
Mhm.
where we're trying to go.
And it's a lot, it ends up being a lot of like unnecessary time and energy for everyone. If you kind of have to like, you might still get there if you're kind of like, this phrase always makes my like eye twitch a little bit, but if you're building the ship as you fly it, like you might get there, but it's going to end up being a lot more swirl along the way. And
And
that's
then
like I said, unnecessary time, unnecessary frustration. Yeah, like I said, the outcome still, you might find your way there. But if you pause at the beginning, figure all that out, it's so much more likely it's just going to be a smooth journey for everybody. Mhm.
Yeah, and I think just being like just to add to that, right? It also reduces the like you said, frustration and also the confusion.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Because remember, it's often not just one person, right? You're not like a one person company,
Mhm.
or if you are, you are, but often you're not. And then if you start shifting, then the rest of the team as well, as it flows down, the advisors and the team and all that, they also wouldn't be really sure, and then they'll be like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, so I guess it's this then, and
Mhm.
and then you get people that I think north is there, I think north is there, I think north is there, and you get
Mhm.
people dispersing, and it's like, I need to get them back together. We're going all in different directions, so yeah,
That can cause a
totally
lot
agree.
of organizational, my tongue got stuck all up.
Chaos.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point because if it's not clearly defined, there's a situation where everyone feels confused, but like you said, there's also a situation where everybody really thinks they know what it is, but they have
Yes.
different things in your head, and that's when it can really create some like tension of like you're
Yes.
trying to review, the team is reviewing a cell sheet that you made, and different people think different things are important, and they all think they're right because there's not like one solid
Exactly.
alignment of what you're.
Exactly.
Mhm.
There's no like a map, like a
Map.
mapped out like journey.
Mhm.
Yep.
And at this point, I think it'd be really good to also talk about things like, yeah, so things like that's why we do like things like brand book, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like that. That is your compass. That is your North Star.
Mhm.
That is your filter. Is this our brand? You apply that filter, yes or
Mhm.
no. Doesn't
Yes.
feel like it. It helps you make your decisions
Mhm.
more efficient, and that's the value of it.
Mhm.
It's
And then
not
it
just
helps you.
like a pretty like document somewhere.
And helps you qualify those decisions too. Like you're working on something, you go to your brand guideline. Okay, does the voice on this guideline match the voice we're seeing on this website? I mean, it's also
Yeah.
a little, it's things that are simpler, like, okay, do the colors physically match? Like that's easy to gauge.
Exactly.
But the more like conceptual things are the things that can cause, or, that are harder to measure, can be clarified by doing that. Okay, this is our audience in our brand guide. Do we look like we're speaking to and appealing to them here?
Yeah.
The
Well,
measuring stick.
so, the point of this podcast is to really help people that are sitting in that marketing seat.
Hmm.
And so we empathize with you that
Hmm.
you're getting the knock on the door. Where are the leads? Where are the leads? And so I feel like what we just talked about, is exactly what you can bring back to leadership. Look, you know what your voice is, or you know what the founder voice, you know that feeling. But as we grow and as we're putting things out into the world, we need that filter. We need to stop and figure out what that filter is, so that we're not, one, having to ask this founder or this leader every time, do you agree? Like, we know what it is, so we don't have to constantly, it's a time saving, it's a delegation question, but also, um, the team just has the foundation to keep
Hmm.
growing and creating without that hiccup along the way, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, Okay, one other sort of problem I believe we can help people solve is I can't narrow it down, or I don't have the confidence to narrow it down. I don't have, and when we say narrow it down, when we talk about niche, maybe we should talk about this, Jimmy. You had brought this up. It doesn't have to mean like, I don't want to use this because everyone else uses this one. It doesn't have to mean like bookstore owners, right? Like it doesn't have to be like a specific person. There's other ways to narrow it down, but you've got to narrow down on something, some differentiator.
Hmm.
Yeah, it cannot be like super broad. But it
Mhm.
also doesn't need to, like we talked about this before we recorded, and I think Ellie, you brought up like demographics versus psychographics. It doesn't always need to be 40 to 55. This, that, you know, like those help, but sometimes it's about people who want, who believe in, like often we talk about ESG, right? People who believe in sustainable investing, sustainable finance, something like that helps too. Like that's helpful too. So start with whichever it is that's broad and then start adding qualifiers. Say sustainable finance, ESG, something like that. Okay, where? Okay, in which area? Like that helps you narrow it down.
Yeah.
So if it becomes overwhelming, just start with the broadest thing first, but don't end there.
Mhm.
Try to get as specific as you can.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, and it also, um, so the services, I feel like I often talk with clients about that. Like it's a layer you can add in. Like, so we serve these people in this broader way. So, we work with a lot of wealth management firms, but others as well, like payroll or lending. Like that's your service. But you can also narrow it down to like, but we do it this way, or we have these specific focuses or things like that. That can be a way to sort of narrow things down. Um, Ellie, also, another thing I was thinking is because there's a client I'm thinking of we just onboarded. I won't call them out, but like their focus is also coming really from the founder and the why
Mhm.
from the founder. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that too, how like the values and the philosophy
Mhm.
of the brand can be a big guiding factor too.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So yeah, I'll start with that one. Then I've got some other ones too. Yeah, that like that brand, like you said, the founder has a very clear vision for kind of just I almost want to say personality, just like how they present
Yes.
themselves, how they talk. It's very cerebral. It's kind of like very like philosophical. Um, and a lot of their clients you can get a lot of this information just from observing like what clients seem to walk through your doors and which ones come back and which ones don't and who gets referred and which referrals are successful. You'll start to see like there might be some similarities in the personality types that just resonate you, especially because it can be a very personal relationship, so you need to have a little bit of common and like a shared language. So yeah,
Mhm.
that particular company and their brand beautifully reflects that. Just the way they put the way they put you at ease, the way they talk you through things, the way they do it on an intellectual but not overwhelming level. So it just very much, it's really nice when you have like that example of founder that has such a distinct personality that we can draw from to kind of like build the brand. And then we even have you can get very complex with your audience making, but you can also do things that are I kind of want to say simple, but still have an impact. Like we have worked with one client that just because of their location and because of what they specialize in, their clients are very heavily in the tech industry. And so we leaned into that. And, it's not like we're on their website saying only tech employees only, but
Yes.
we make the brand feel a little bit more techy. So then the people from the tech industry feel like it speaks their language. And as soon as they see the website, they're like, okay, this is relevant to me. I will like these people will get me and I will get them. We have another client who just based on their location, noticed that a lot of their clients are very outdoorsy. They're hiking, they're kayaking. And so they kind of leaned into that with their brand and just use those kind of visuals and kind of allude to it. And it's not like they don't take it so far that it alienates anyone who doesn't do those things, but at least it kind of gives them a personality direction and appeals to those people. So it
Yeah.
can be very complicated and cerebral and philosophical and it can be based on demographics, but sometimes it can just be like, hey, what do we feel like? I don't
Yeah.
mean and just to clarify, I don't
Yeah.
mean feel like a whim. Like that, like, oh, what do we feel like right now? I mean like what's like Jimmy said, your vibe.
Who
Yes.
are we, right? And I
What do you
think it's
exude?
yeah, once you defined it, and kind of like what I can think about is, like how when we watch, well, superheroes, let's bring that in, wondering why. But like Batman signal,
Hmm.
when the Batman signal goes out,
Hmm.
like Superman, Wonder Woman is not gonna look at it and go, oh, they're calling me, right? Because that's obviously calling Batman. So it's kind of like what you said, Ellie, like, oh, this visual, or like when it comes to content, this word, when you put it out, the people who it's meant for, they'll see it and go, they are talking to me.
Even if it's subconscious, even if it's completely
Right?
subconscious, they would never be able to articulate that. If they're seeing that
Yes.
ad in their feed or they're seeing that their coworker shared that post on LinkedIn, if it has something in there that makes them feel like that, your success rate goes way
Yeah.
up.
There's
Uh,
that pull, that
Excuse me.
magnetic pull.
so that's what I was just gonna say is well, to toot our own horn, but that's what makes us amazing is that like positioning I think scares people because they're afraid it's gonna be kitschy and cheesy, right? Like they're afraid that if they say our target market is Batman. I'm trying to think of the thing. Then it's going to be slapped all over everything.
Mhm.
We're just putting labels. Like it's going to come off really cheesy. It's going to be in your face. Even when we work with clients, like I was saying, we're even outside the wealth management space across financial services. When we start to get local, clients are just like, wait, 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 wait. But we also have clients in the next state over, and then, on the other side of the country. I'm like, okay, we can attract them without broadcasting it. So
Mhm.
it doesn't always look like the bat signal. And sometimes it's a little more subtle, right? But I think that's that's kind of what I want to leave us on with that with positioning. It's like it's a science and it's an art, which is why we all work together and we have people, on our team that are helping. Like it's a whole thing so that it comes off authentically and sometimes really subtly,
Mhm.
but like effectively. So I think, like I said, people are just afraid we're gonna
Yeah.
slap a sticker on it.
Yeah, it can be, I think I like the word you use subtle. Your brand and your positioning can be subtle but still distinct. I think that's like
Yes,
you don't have
that's
it
a good
doesn't
way to
have to
say
be
it.
screamed, but you
Yes.
still have that very core personality.
Feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
yeah, subtle but distinct. Or it
Yeah.
can be not
That's
subtle.
I
Some
like
brands are not
distinct
subtle
is
and that works
important.
for them, but you
Yeah,
can be
that's
subtle
right.
and distinct.
That's right. But it doesn't have to be like, what I don't know. Maybe Jimmy, you have good analogies, so maybe you have a better analogy. But like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean they tell us XYZ and we just slap the XYZ label on and move on. Like
No,
it's
yeah. I think a
worked
lot of
in.
times it's just yeah, subtle but distinct. And when you say that, Ellie, the first thing that comes to my mind is really like Apple, right?
Mhm.
It's just subtle and distinct. It's not like, oh, we use this Pantone color code pink or something
Mhm.
like that. It's very white,
Mhm.
it's very simple, but it's very distinct. So
Mhm.
everyone's kind of like trying to copy their packaging, their ads, but yeah.
I like it. That's so true. You're right. Subtle may not always be the right word, but just it doesn't have to be. It's a show instead of tell, right? Like people are experiencing the brand, not because we're just telling them what to experience.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be heavy-handed.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, as we start to wrap up, do we want to talk about the one thing? Good news for everyone. We discussed this ahead of time. We have one.
Yeah.
We have
Oh
one
wait,
takeaway.
if
Yeah.
if I could say one thing before we do the one thing.
Yes,
So
please.
in terms of the like target market, right? I think also to those who are tuning in, if you kind of like, oh, I don't even know what my target market is, somewhere to start, obviously start discussing, but another way to do it is just look at your current clients, you
Hmm.
know, kind of like try to see if you can group them into buckets. Look at your existing clients. What works? Like what do you get more of? Like that would be your natural, maybe even without knowing it, that's the message you put out. That's the magnet that you put out that's pulling
Mhm.
people in. Then is that the direction that you want to go, or is it something else? Like
Mhm.
that's a good starting point too.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like Ellie was saying earlier, it makes our job so much easier, and we love sort of coming together and helping clients define and show what that is. But we can't always do the first step of the business step.
Mhm.
So if you legitimately in your own business are struggling to figure that out, we have great business consultants that we've worked with.
Mhm.
Email us, we'll send them to you. But that's your first step if you like legitimately don't know like what from a business level perspective what the goals are and where you're trying to go.
Mhm.
Because we kind of can come in on that next step and like I said define it and help you um, bring it to the world. But if you haven't figured it out internally yet, that can be a struggle. So okay, maybe we've already said it, but we'll say it. What's our one thing that everyone should go do? I like how you said it earlier, Ellie, so maybe you
Okay,
should
I
say
can, yeah. So our one thing is, oh my gosh, what did we call it? Oh my gosh. Sorry, when the pressure's on, I have senior moments. Is write your positioning statement if you don't already have one. And like there's lots of formats out there. Like you can a quick Google will give you a whole bunch of websites that have different ways you can literally just like format it. But however you format it and however you phrase the statement, the four things that we think should be in there. There's some that have six or eight, but I think keep it simple. You just need to have in there, okay, who is your audience? Like I said, look at your client base, see what's in common, whether it's location or interests or just like the way they approach their wealth, just like the, kind of their philosophy around it. Find something in common for your audience. Define your product. That's usually the easiest part. Find find what is special about how you deliver that product or what is special about your product and then what benefit that product provides to that audience. And the benefit is oftentimes best if it's actually like a soft emotional benefit. Like it's not just gets them more money. Like that's what you know what I mean? But the benefit is like generally is it security? Is it hope for their future? Is it, securing a legacy and passing things down to their grandchildren? Like what's their driver is maybe another way to say it in terms of what's their benefit.
I like it. Yeah, we were talking about soul searching, so don't be afraid to sort of choose some of those because I feel like sometimes everyone starts going like, well, we should be doing this to give them like a better purpose in life, or like you said, legacy. Or but feel free to really search and figure out is that actually what clients come back and say they love about working with you and narrow that down.
That's true. That is a good way to of the four things. If you're, I think you did a good job a few minutes ago of talking about how you find your audience if you're not sure. How you find your differentiator if you're not sure is going to the clients and seeing what do they love best about working with you. How did they leave that meeting feeling? How did they feel after, working with
Yeah,
you for 5, 10 years? And once you start to see similarities, like there's your benefit.
there it is. There's your
Hmm.
secret sauce.
Yeah.
That's
So I'm going
right.
to recap. Who's your audience? What's your product? What's different about your product? And what benefit does that give to your audience? Tying it back to the beginning.
Four things in one.
Hmm. And there's your
Yes.
One.
positioning statement.
Excellent. Well, we're going to keep talking about this and little nuances and rabbit trails in the next few episodes. But anything else that we want to call out? I mean, there's so much we can talk about.
Yeah, so
We'd
much
be
we
here
can
all day.
say.
No?
I know.
Yeah, just, find your voice. Then, yeah, find your voice so you don't sound like everybody else. And, when you find your voice, even if you, like how certain singers, when they have their voice, even if they do a cover of another person's song, you know it's them.
Hmm.
Like that's how good it is. So if you find your voice, that's how good it is.
There's your positioning right there. The voice of a singer.
Hmm.
Distinctive. I love it. Cool. Well, we invite everyone to subscribe to the podcast. We are excited to keep recording and get back in the seat here. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss upcoming episodes. Join the newsletter. I think it's outandabout.com. What is it? Outandaboutcommunications.com/community. So you can head over there and subscribe to the newsletter. We're sending out monthly newsletters. We'll make sure you get checklists and all that good stuff related to all these topics. We will have Ellie's 4 points in the show notes, so you can
Yes.
easily sit down and write those up. But yeah, go ahead and subscribe, and we are excited to, like I said, keep recording, and we'll be back soon with another positioning podcast.
Yay.
Take care, everyone.